Today on the podcast, we have Abriana McKinney. She works with SCI, and I often interface with her when I go to Jefferson, when I do all my volunteering stuff. I first met her when she was doing stuff at Matt Dishman, and her brother hooked me up with the opportunity to really become a teaching artist. And so we talk about just sort of the trials and tribulations of dealing with a school population that's predominantly Black, and how she's really making an effort from her life and her experiences to create opportunities for other kids to be successful. And on top of that, she's a dancer, and she has her own company that she works with a couple of her friends called D.A.M events. And unfortunately, with the coronavirus stuff, things have sort of subsided a little bit, but there's definitely opportunities coming up for her to really take it to the next level. And so I'm really excited to share our conversation about really exploring creativity and doing right by our community, but also, paving a way for ourselves. And so without further ado, let's get it started. Big thing is how has it been sort of like in this age of Corona? Because everybody's kind of on lockdown, and I know a lot of like community-based organizations. Like SEI, MISO, all those things. They're really taking a hit right now.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to Elevate Oregon, and they're everything has to be remotely at this point. All the check-ins, any sort of like class stuff or educational stuff that you're doing, any sort of mentorship stuff. And so like how has it been for you?
It's definitely been harder than usual, but it's been good because it's kind of taken us out of the school element. So we have a little bit more time to talk to the kids. It's not like, oh, I'm pulling you out of class to talk or whatever. And it's really opened up a space for one-on-ones where there's a lot of time that multiple kids will come into your classroom at a time, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just talk to this girl and like really get to her heart issues and what's really going on, and now you FaceTime somebody and they're all by themselves at home, bored.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to open up and do what they got to do. So it's been really cool. We've been goal setting, just getting to like the nitty gritty of like what's going on in their lives, what they're going through. So it hasn't been too bad.
Okay.
I guess it could be worse.
It could be worse. It could be worse. Yes. And so for you, like, what is your role exactly?
I'm a youth service coordinator.
Okay.
So I connect kids with different opportunities as well as like mentorship in their life. So we like have 3 different roles that we play in their lives, which is like the parent, the mentor, and then like the teacher.
Okay.
So we do all those things.
And this is done through SEI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is there any other sort of programs that do similar things, or does SEI kind of like, like lead the charge in sort of like implanting people within schools and working with students like that?
I think we're the biggest one. And I think there are some that do things that are similar, but not quite at the capacity that we do it. SEI has been around for a really long time. I went through the program myself. So, and then like I know people that were my coordinators and such, they also went through the program. So it's been around for quite a while.
Okay. And so like knowing that like you've been through it, like what made you want to go into this or like kind of be a part of like helping others in that capacity?
I've always really loved kids, and I think you and we met at Matt Dishman,
Yeah.
where I was teaching dance. During that time, I was teaching dance at SEI and teaching dance at different studios and at Matt Dishman and different community centers. Um, and then somehow I was like, one day I really wanted to start like a mentorship program at Matt Dishman. So I started like a small like mentoring program at Matt Dishman. And just from there, you kind of realize that you have a passion for working with kids, working and mentoring kids, and kids that naturally gravitate towards you and look up to you. You're like, wow, how could I do this and, at a larger scale and be a little more instrumental in their lives? And then SEI, a position had kind of opened up. And some of my mentors at SEI were like, hey, you should really be doing this. Like, you're already doing it kind of smaller capacity. Why aren't you doing this? Like, you went through the program, you know exactly how it works. These kids kind of look up to you already. Why not? And so that's kind of how I got into it. It wasn't something that was planned. I was a manager somewhere else. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, because I think when we first met, you weren't you trying to like go into like medicine or like trying to
Yeah.
do like nursing or take the MCAT or something like that. It was like something along the lines of
Yeah,
that.
I was going to be a PA or a nurse practitioner. I was deciding between the two because I really wanted to do primary care, and I'm very like fascinated by how the body works
Yeah,
and how the physiology of everything. It's something that's like a personal interest of mine, and it's still an interest. And so I've been like talking to a lot of the kids that want to go into the medical field, like, oh yeah, this is so cool, and this is so cool. How I went away from that, it was just like something that fell in my lap. I was going to school and then I was like, I don't think that this is what I want to do right now. And
yeah,
that doesn't mean that it won't happen along, the road, but not right now for sure. I still have a passion for that and helping people. I think this one just kind of pushed it out of the way because it's a little stronger.
yeah, yeah. I mean, since we last spoke and as we're speaking now, um, I'm still trying to get into medical school. Like it's that it's that sort of long process that they talk about it being long, but like you don't really it doesn't really sink in until like you realize, dang, it's been 4 years and I'm still trying to get in. you know?
Yeah. Knowing the competition is crazy. And then you like, the grades that are great are not great
Yeah.
enough. And so you're constantly like trying to outdo yourself as well as everybody around you. And I was like, I don't know if I'm in the headspace to do that right now.
Yeah. I mean, God forbid you go to a student doctor network or Reddit and then you
Yeah.
start talking about your stuff and then you just start rethinking like everything in life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then all the experience that people are doing, like, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this, and this, and this. Oh, I'm not doing that right
And it's
now.
or you'd be like,
So I
oh, all those things are volunteer opportunities and you actually have to figure out a way to pay bills. What?
right. Golly. Yeah. I've been living on my own since I was 18. So I'm like, I definitely know there's a struggle and a hustle and a certain mindset that has to go behind it to be able to volunteer for those things and get the experience and also work to provide for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Not
maintain your grades.
and maintain your grades and freaking study.
Yeah. And so I think we are, what are we, week 2 into Corona Apocalypse. And like, so how has this sort of like affected you, outside of just like working and stuff? Like you said, you're a dancer and all that. Like, do you see yourself sort of like risking the Corona to get into like the dance studio or like how is it?
No, pretty much all those have closed down. What's really cool, and I think that this whole thing has forced people to really like utilize technology in a different sort of way.
Yeah.
People have been live streaming yoga classes, live streaming African dance, hip hop, jazz funk classes all over, and it's been really cool because like the classes that are usually taught in LA, and I'm like, oh, these are the teachers that I'm looking at their classes online. they're live streaming classes and I can take it from the comfort of my living room.
Oh, nice, nice.
So that's been pretty cool, but it's not the same for sure. I've been like going through withdrawals of like being around people, and I'm one of those people that like I'm an extrovert, but I'm also like an introvert. So I think like I force myself to be an extrovert, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do well, but I need my time alone. And so I've gotten this time alone, and I'm like, okay, I wouldn't mind seeing some people now.
Yeah.
I feel good enough to see people now. Like I don't feel overwhelmed with the amount of interaction that I have to deal with on the day to day, and now I'm kind of like craving some human interaction that I was not craving before. So it's been a little bit weird. I'm going through different like emotions and feelings, and like anxiety's been weird. I
Yeah.
kind of have like anxiety already. And so like just kind of trying to stay away from the news and what everybody's been saying, and like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then I'm like, I need to grocery shop for myself, but people don't know how to social distance in grocery stores. They don't.
No.
Like this guy was breathing down my neck in the grocery line, and I'm like, dude, please give me my space. I don't know what you've been around. So yeah, it's been weird for sure.
Yeah, it's the this is one of, these are like those movie moments that you sort of like laugh, get entertainment from, but like you don't really think it's ever going to get to that point. And then and
Yeah.
then I just talked to my dad, and my dad is used to be in law enforcement in the FBI, and he was like, "Hey Steve, you might want to go to Big Five and get like a get like a pellet gun or like a 22 or something like that." I'm just like,
Yes, people have been saying that. It makes me like crazy. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. Like, is a purge going on? What are we doing? Like,
right?
why are you telling me?
Being that it is Portland, I kid you not, I saw somebody walking down the street with this big old bow and arrow. It was probably like a 4 foot bow and arrow, and like 20 arrows just in like a little thing, looking like like Robin Hood's third cousin.
The fact that I don't doubt it at all just kind of tells you where we live.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't doubt that at all. Not one bit.
Yeah, but like what you were saying with like technology, like that's a very real thing because uh, all of like the old heads, quote unquote, that I like work with, I find myself having to like either like get them up to speed on like how video chats work, or
Mm-hmm.
some like nonprofit organizations that I work with, helping them do like live stream webinars and like go to the digital age, even though like they've been really really resistant. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I've like found is that it's like the best way to describe like the experience is when somebody is like a late adopter to like Uber, and then they hop in the car after they get their Uber ride, and then they are upset that they can't change their destination. And that's just not how it works. I mean, you could get a taxi, but
Yeah.
Uber, you can't just up and say, "Oh, I don't want to go here anymore. I want to go this place." That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And so it's been like
No.
very similar, like a very similar experience with some of the people I'm like trying to help, convert to like the digital age completely.
Yeah, like FaceTiming my grandparents. I mean, even FaceTime for them. My grandpa was on FaceTime with me like this. And I was like, Grandpa, put it down because I can't see your face. And then he puts it down and I can only see the ceiling. I'm like, Grandpa, look at the screen. I'm on the screen right now. He's like, oh, wow, how'd you get in there? Right? It's an iPhone. Your phone can do that. So yeah, it's been weird. It's funny how my job has adapted really quickly, especially with kind of the people that are in charge are definitely a little bit older, and this technology age is not
Yeah.
kind of their era or age, and they've been able to adapt really quickly. Like last week, I think like day that we decided we were closing down the center, they were like, okay, everybody, let's meet on Google Hangouts, and we had like 100 and something people,
Oh, dang.
you know, for that meeting. And I was like, that's super cool that you guys were able to pull it together so quickly and get us information so quickly. So it's been dope. And then they've been able to like our data team and tech team has been able to kind of send like the how-to guides for everybody else that don't know, and like, hey, this is how your department meetings have to go from here on out, like while this is going on. So it's been cool. I would not have expected as much, but it's better than expected
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, definitely. And so, because for you, you work at, you interface with multiple schools, didn't you?
Yeah, right now I'm mainly at Roosevelt and Jefferson.
Okay. And so it seems like now that everything is sort of digital, it would be easier to, so I mean you don't lose time with that commute,
Yeah,
essentially. So you're just kind of a phone call or a video chat away from all the people that you're looking after.
yeah. And all the admin meetings are like not a thing. So like meeting with like the principals and you know whatever and counselors and such that usually take time away from my day to like get paperwork and my student one-on-one meetings done. Those like aren't a thing anymore. So I'm like, yeah, those are the things that stress me out the most. I'm
Yeah.
like, I have so many meetings with kids and you guys are meeting with me about somebody that was absent.
Yeah.
Sure, there's been an email, you know.
So since you, so how, so say this is like 6 months down the road and like schools are still not open. Like, does that, like, how does that affect you and like being able to do your job? Does your job still exist, or like, like how does that kind of work?
By the grace of God, it will exist because I don't fully know. I'm hoping that this doesn't go too far, but we've definitely been as our company has been like figuring out how does this look. How do we still service the people that we love in our community with distance and from home and with just technology? So we're going to be starting some cool things from our Instagram, which will be really nice that kids will be able to kind of interact with us on that level. But I feel like, you know, does the conversation get boring after 6 months? What are we still talking about? You're still at home, you're still by yourself, you're still quarantined or whatever. If this stays the exact same, you're not telling me any new information. So does it stay the same? I don't know. Um, but I feel like humans are humans, and that's with kids too. You know, you're still gonna have, even when you're in the house, you're still gonna have like your day to day run of emotions, your day to day, you know, issues. Whether that be, I texted my friend and you know we're having a disagreement over text, or and I need your guidance for this, or Miss Aubrey, how does life look with me just being, you know, in the house? I need encouragement. I need ways to get exercise done. I think there's always a need for my job in that kind of capacity.
Yeah. Okay. So it transcends just not only just the classroom, but it goes into sort of like the personal lives and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with interpersonal stuff and okay, okay. And so, how, because you're like born and raised in Portland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how is it sort of like being in that sort of role of growing up in Portland, looking to people and now having people look to you for guidance and mentorship?
I think that, you know, as corny as this sounds, I feel like my life has prepared me for the position that I'm in right now because I find myself dealing with situations with the kids that I have been through already. I mean, in such as life, that's usually how it works. Um, but I'm able to speak to them on that level. Like, yeah, I've been through this. This is what worked for me. This is what didn't work for me. Here's the advice I can give you. Um, and especially growing up in Portland and then like seeing even the people that have been displaced and once lived in Northeast Portland, now living in Gresham. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I definitely made that transition myself as well at a time. I'm back in Northeast Portland. But there was a time that I was in Northeast Portland, then had to move out into the numbers. And so I know kind of the ins and outs that some of the people that aren't from here wouldn't know. I just feel like my life has prepared me for where I'm at right now and to talk life into the kids that I work with right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I see that's kind of how I feel with sort of like football and living in
Mm-hmm.
like 4 or 5 different states and going to college and all that stuff. You kind of take all those things and you ingrain them into yourself, and then they essentially like be sort of like your rule book for how you sort of like interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it
100%. That's why I gave that, or not gave that kid to you, but like I connected the two of you guys because I was like, man, there are just so many similarities. And isn't it crazy that, the world's so small? Even I think just the way the universe is set up is pretty cool because I didn't know that you were also doing stuff at
oh
Jefferson.
yeah.
And it was like, wait, what school are you at? I'm like, oh, I'm at Jeff. Oh, well, I'm at Jeff on these days. I'm like, super cool and very convenient for this situation. And this kid plays football, but also likes anime or comics in a sort, and wants to start drawing or find somebody that draws to kind of speak into his life. Even just that day, what you said to him, I know that it like impacted him and meant a lot to him. So I was like, that is really cool, just how the world is set up and how the universe kind of like just pushes people in your way at the right time. I
Yeah.
guess everything is set in that sort of way. I guess I'm spiritual.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is, people. I feel like people feed off of sort of the desires and interests that you have, and as you like start to
Hmm.
talk to people and share things with other people, then like so you become just really aware of all those opportunities that are available and how you can kind
Yeah,
of improve the situations of others. And so I've been,
yeah,
at least over the past like couple of years, mainly, yeah, I would say over like the past year for me, I found myself like just acknowledging a lot of those opportunities that aren't like
yeah,
financial or aren't meant to like improve my career or whatever, but to just like give back to others.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
And so you are also part of the whole like millennial black Portland like party scene, nightlife party scene thing. And so
Yeah,
how, yeah, could you explain like a little bit of like what you do outside of like SCI and like the other stuff?
yeah. I basically my friends and I kind of developed this group slash business together called D.A.M events. Um, drop the second E. And basically it started out as a dance group and we were bringing people together to watch us dance, and we came up with this idea like, wouldn't it be so dope that if we maybe not even just took the dancing part about out of it, but like just decided to curate like these events to bring together Black Portland, because a lot of times people move here and they're like, there's no Black people in Portland.
Yeah.
There's no Black people in Portland. And while there are fewer of us than the majority that's here, there are Black people here and people that can help each other out. And so kind of our mission was to um, develop and curate events to bring Black people and young Black people together that are like-minded kind of young professionals in this area, just to kind of like kick it and meet,
Oh yeah.
in such a way.
And
Yeah.
it's there's so many of those different things popping up. Obviously, I mean that was kind of the premise of my podcast, is just to like talk to black people that are like doing stuff in Portland. But I
Hmm.
think it's like Group Me has been like a very interesting space with like the Wave and like Rooted.pdx,
Hmm.
and then I think there's like a mixer one, like a I can't remember the name of it, but I always like run into one of the founders of that one, and it's just like, there there's just like this belonging for community that like people are going out of their way to sort of create, so that they're able to combat these whole like ideas of isolation and you know just being black in Portland.
Yeah, because sometimes it could be hard to kind of navigate through Portland, especially if you're not born here. Being Black in Portland can be kind of like tough. And I don't mean that in the tough way of like, man, my life is so hard, but like sometimes if you're from the South and you come up here dealing with like microaggressions and people not being so outwardly, you know, racist, I
Yeah.
guess you can say. Um, it's new for a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have moved up here and are like, "What is with people? What are with the people out here? Can people just say what they feel? Like, say what you mean and mean what you say?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is like the town of passive aggressive, the town of
Yep.
microaggression, the town of all that stuff where people just pretend everything is okay or pretend that they like everything." And it's hard to navigate that if you're not used to it. I grew up here, so I'm like, I for sure know what it's like, and navigating here is cool. But I definitely have kids that are not from here. Like I have kids that are from Pittsburgh that are like, these teachers are whack. Like I can't deal with it. This is weird. And so it's for sure we have to help one another and kind of come together to say like, no, what you're feeling is valid, and that's actually happening right now.
Yeah.
And I see you, sis, or I see you, bro, whatever. And just being able to have somebody see you is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it's crazy because Portland has a lot of like stuff going on, but having access to really all the stuff that's going on out here uh, is really tough, and I didn't really realize that because I moved up here specifically to go to OHSU. That's why I got
Mhm.
here. It wasn't for like the art stuff that I'm doing, or it wasn't for anything else. Like I signed up at Portland State, and I've been trying to get into OHSU. Then I just stumbled across everything else that's here. Nike, Under Armour, freaking like Autodesk and all the creative stuff, Intel, uh, and just trying to like get into all those different things becomes difficult to where I have something that I'm like I have a goal for, but if I would just here just trying to like break into the industry, it would I would rip my face off. It's difficult. um,
Yeah.
I met with somebody after I launched my like augmented reality app. And so I met with
Yeah.
somebody and was like, "Hey, like here's my app. This is something that I'm doing. I have this skill set." And I was essentially seeing if there were any opportunities for work. And then they were like, "Well, we want you to try this out, and we want to make sure you could work on a project and all that." And I'm like, "You're telling me you want to try me out with a project, but you're using my augmented reality app right now? Like, what are we really talking about here? You know?"
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like y'all see I could do stuff, so like, what do you got for me? And so I find that like it's often that type of stuff that that I hear people sort of like not even complain. It's just like people sort of notice it.
Frustrating.
Yeah, that sort of frustration when you're trying to start a career in a place that has industry, but like you can't get your foot in the door.
No, I mean, that's kind of like if you talk to my brother, I mean, you know my brother.
Yeah,
Um, but he's been in like the film industry for a really long time, and moving up from the South back here, once he had kind of already made a name for himself down there,
yeah,
it wasn't easy because it was like he felt like around every corner he was like having to prove himself, prove himself, prove himself. And he's like, no, dude, I've proved myself quite enough. Like I've been working in this industry for years now. I know what I'm doing. Like this is ridiculous at this point. I'm grown and I've got stuff to teach people at this point. I've got things under my belt. I'm no longer trying to prove myself. I'm just trying to make a living and move on. And so it's been kind of crazy. He's saying like the the difference between Portland and Atlanta, because he was living in Atlanta. He was like, it's just super night and day. Where he went to Atlanta and was in like 5 different projects within like the first week. Here it's like pretty slow. Like, okay, maybe he's on a project for a month and then it drops off and he's got to wait another like 3 weeks or so. And it doesn't mean that there's like a lack of work or lack of things going on. It's like a lack of, that's my dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got it. He's cool. Come on in. Where in Atlanta, it's super that. It's Black people have each other's backs every day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, my bro, da, 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 he can come over here. I can help him out, or he can work with us. I know exactly what he brings. And then they trust just off of, you know, that 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 piece of word of mouth.
Yeah, and I see that like it becomes there's a lot more support in like the whole like entrepreneur and like small business sector that that I haven't really seen, coming from the Bay Area or like being in LA or whatever. That
Mm-hmm.
like I really appreciate about like Portland, but
Mm-hmm.
then you find that just trying to break out as a group from that whole business like small business sector into like consumer stuff or just interpersonal stuff, it becomes really really hard. uh,
Yeah.
and it's and and especially now, I mean, man, like all the marketplaces and all those things that like were support, those things are all shut down right now, and so it's
Yeah.
like it's really tough.
Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't even think about how it would be, especially for a small business or a recently launched business to operate right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, technically, you're kind of in that
we
space too.
are, but it's a little bit different only because of the amount of years that we've been around, and so like the connections that have been formed. Not to say that it's not still hard, because it is. So with being like nonprofit, still technically small business, um, it is hard. I guess not technically a small business, but nonprofit for sure. And then for us, my small business, we're more so like pumping in the summer. So I'll be more affected when the summer comes. I'm like just praying that this is this is not going to be a permanent thing, or not permanent, but like more summer permanent
Yeah,
than it needs to be.
yeah,
I'm really hoping that it's not, because that will like super duper affect me, because that's like my second income is that piece over there.
yeah, yeah. So hey, just stock up on the supplies. Uh, look
Yeah,
into
start some
like the
sort,
remote
like,
stuff.
yeah, I'm gonna have to try to see what we can do. This is crazy. You didn't stress me out, Steven.
Well, hey, I mean, what Sway Lee just did his first live concert.
Oh yeah, did you see Erica Badu talking about doing a live concert as well? She was like, "Yeah, $1 donation per person just to enter in the what's it call it," and she would do a live concert from her bedroom.
Yeah,
I would be down for
I mean,
that. I love her.
that's a way to adapt. I mean, because uh, people watch. I mean, people are watching stuff. That's all people are doing, are just watching stuff, maybe reading books, but mainly just watching TV, watching YouTube, and playing video games. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. You were so right. I used to read so much, and I feel like I have so many books here. I have 2 books on the tables right
Oh
now.
yeah.
This one, sorry, it's called Talking to
Oh
Strangers,
yeah.
and I really wanted to read it. Have you read this?
I have the audiobook. And the audiobook is amazing because he actually puts the actual like interviews in there, like from the people. So you're
Really?
actually listening to the people that he interviewed with.
Or did you just off of Amazon
Yeah,
or?
yeah, I got it off of Audible. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I got it
cool.
off of Audible. And so yeah, I because I this gives me a reason to like keep on my podcast and everything. But for me, like things honestly haven't really changed because I work from home anyway. And so
Yeah.
the only time I really like leave the house is if I need to like go into like some offices for like some of my clients, or if I'm going to like Jeff or someplace. Like other than that,
Yeah.
I'm
So have you haven't felt very affected by it?
well, so just because it doesn't affect my day-to-day stuff, but my contracts, that's another thing. And so
Really? Yeah.
so I was working on a project, or getting ready to work on a like an expedited project for a client in Australia, and it's like a music festival thing. So
Um,
that was going to set me up for like summertime, right? And but this was like right when things started to shut down. So they canceled the thing in Australia, and that was like 5 grand just
uh,
gone, it just instantly. So I've lost about like $6,000 or $7,000 in the past like week and a half. So
oh my goodness.
so
That makes me sick to my
yeah,
stomach.
so I'm like trying. I continue to like try not to think about it because it's 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 heartbreaking.
No. When you said the stuff about the summer, I was like, I did not even fully think about that. And part of that, I don't know if I mentioned to you that I'm supposed to be getting married this summer.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wait,
Um,
this summer, like as in like like Portland summer, like which
like
means like
August.
August, or okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
As in Portland summer, this is also affecting that. So I'm like, but means to pay for the wedding. That was, I mean, we were just talking about, group was just talking about like, oh yeah, we can do like, some sort of like party or whatever, get together. We had some ideas brewing, and we're like, that can be one of the ways that we kind of get some money for your wedding. And I'm like, yeah, I need it, because working for everybody knows what a nonprofit pay is like,
yeah, yeah,
and it's not like a bad thing. It's just like, you most people, when you work at a nonprofit, you really want to be doing what you're doing, because because we're from so many like sponsors and funding.
mm-hmm.
It's, they've got to conserve a certain amount. And so um yeah, I really depend on those outside things to kind of help me get any sort of outside, cash for
Yeah, it's
other things, like traveling or weddings. So I for sure have been looking at it like, man, maybe just a certificate and a celebration, and I could be cool.
yeah,
But yeah, this whole thing.
it's yeah, that's tough. I mean, when you throw the wedding in there, then it's just like crap, dude. Dang. It's like
I'm like, even if it still is able to happen, because will there still be like a cap of, how many people can come together at that time?
yeah.
You know,
Or
that's
if
already one thing.
or if uh or if it's like done but it like finished like a couple weeks ago, and then everybody's like super scared to like leave the house, and then it's just
Or I don't have anything together because I just left my house. So I'm like, there's no flowers, there's no anything. I haven't been able to pick anything out that's not on the internet, because
yeah. And
because been inside my house, that would really suck. Those have been the things that have been running through my mind while inside, because it feels like my planning hasn't come to a complete halt. But like my fiance and I were supposed to take engagement photos, and I got a whole bunch of outfits for them.
Yeah.
And then like our photographer just texted me this morning and was like, hey, with things kind of like progressing as they are, I think we should cancel this weekend. And I'm like, yeah, no, I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming, but it's
You're gonna be having pictures with hazmat suits on. like like it's
like the proms have been canceled. And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
my
yeah, I totally forgot about that.
prom, my senior year without my prom would have just sucked. Like, and then are we not doing a graduation?
Well, like Portland State, I think
No.
from what I've heard, Portland State is they've canceled all in-person classes for the spring semester. And so they're only doing online stuff. And so I would only imagine, like yeah, this is wild. Like like
Super wild.
like it and it's wild because it's wild as I'm like thinking about it because me and my girlfriend were watching um The Girl with All the Gifts. It's like this like post-apocalyptic like zombie movie, and
Mm-hmm.
it's literally just like they have like all these kids that are trying to like go to school and everything, and they're like locked down, and if anybody goes outside they'll get sick, and so it's just like there's just no
It's
rules to anything. It's just crazy. It's like it's crazy that this is
super
like
crazy
where we're at right now, you know like
reality.
2020 was supposed to be the
Yeah.
year.
Oh, I said that at the beginning of the year. I was like, 2020 is my year. Like, I've got so much stuff in the works, that I want to do. I had a lot of, I mean, I still have a lot of,
Yeah,
you know, things that I want to do, things that I want to like introduce or give to the people around me. And I'm like, can I still do that? Can I, will this force me to do it in a different way?
yeah,
So it's been super discouraging everything that's been going on from I saw a meme the other day that was like this class of students, like kind of like their whole thing has sucked because at the beginning of their 4 years Trump was elected,
yeah.
and then at the end they may not even be able to graduate because of the coronavirus. Like,
Dang.
throw the whole class away. Class of 2020 is like, I'm like, that really
That
sucks.
really
That really
that
sucks.
really sucks. Like that really sucks. Like dang. Yeah,
Yeah,
that just hurts my soul even thinking about it. Man.
and I'm like, I couldn't imagine, like, as hard as it feels for me, I couldn't imagine like having to throw away the things like, and not to put a damper on everybody else that may listen to your podcast, but like the kids that aren't gonna have prom. That for some kids they're like, prom, so what? But like even graduation, those are two things that were very major for me when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Going to prom, just doing those like those senior year experiences, those were super important for me. If they weren't important in any of the other years, they were really important that year for me. It was kind of almost like a rite of passage, you know?
Yeah, it's
I
those
don't
things
know.
that you watch in movies, those things that you grow up sort of aspiring to have,
Yeah.
and it just for one reason or another, I mean, like they're just not you just don't get to experience that, and that's it's just really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Or you have to do like a yeah, I don't know. I like what do you do with that? You what do you do with that? Like you just can't. It's yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
No, I mean, I mean, this whole time I've been trying to figure out, you know, because I try to stay pretty positive because I have to with anxiety and such. You have to kind of give yourself all those positive, notes, or you can really wallow away in everything negative or the what ifs and what could happen. Um, and my dad and I were having a conversation the other day, and he was just talking about, you know, the air in China right now. is better than it's been in a while, just because like cities have had to shut down. Water has been clearer in Italy than it's been in a while,
Yeah.
just things kind of like because everybody's been inside, kind of taking this moment to reset and get back things that were natural for people years ago, but haven't been so natural for us because us as a human race have, kind of taken it for granted and ruined a lot of things. So, I mean, those are the kind of things that I'm looking at, and I'm like, we have had to take time to ourselves and really be a little more introspective. We
Mm-hmm.
have had to stay out of our cars and busy lives, and had to, really give the air a break that it needs. Our earth has been screaming at us for a while, saying like, please let me have a
let me
second.
let me just
Or we've
relax a
been
little
like,
bit.
no, we need this more. Yeah, we need to go in our car more. We need to do this X, Y, and Z production more. So I guess there's some positives that have come from all this. I've gotten to really organize my house
Yes, that's a
and do
that's a good thing.
for myself. Yeah, take some time to yourself that you don't usually get to take, and really look at your life and say, what's going on with me? Let me check in with myself. A lot of people don't get the time to do that because they're constantly like, especially Americans, I feel.
Yeah, and it always, and I kind of fit in that sort of mold of like team no sleep. I got stuff to do. I need to get things pushing. If I don't, then it won't happen. And so like for me now, uh, it's given me an opportunity to sort of like just take a break from stuff and take a step back from things, or at least like
Mhm.
pursue something that like I've wanted to pursue, but like never really gave myself the
Yeah,
time to. And so one of the things that like I'm making sure to do at least like pretty much like every day is I've always wanted to learn how to like use like 3D stuff, like 3D modeling software and all that.
yeah,
And so like every morning I pretty much like live stream me like learning like how to do it. And so like like post it on Facebook, so anybody that wants to learn with me, you just got to log on to it. And it was funny today cuz I'm on like day 3 or day 4. And so it was funny today because a few people came on and was like, "Hey, I've been meaning to like get into this because I'm trying to do real estate, but real estate is dead and all this stuff." And I was just like, "Well, like there you go. If this is the excuse that you
yeah,
need, and so like kind of investing in myself and kind of focusing on like the things that like I enjoy has been sort of a blessing. I haven't gotten to the point
yeah.
where I'm like reading books yet, but you
And I
know,
really want to.
yeah, like all it takes is Comcast saying, "Hey, we're just going to like shut off all the internet for a while," for me to be like, "Okay, I guess it's time to open up a book."
Yeah, I don't even know what I do with my time. I don't have cable, and I haven't since I've moved out. I've never bought cable
Yeah,
because it's a waste of money. I actually don't have internet, which is the weirdest thing because I'm talking to you right now.
right?
And I bum internet from my, my mom has an Xfinity login.
Okay, okay. So you do
How
like the Xfinity hotspot? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always on a hotspot. I've bought Wi-Fi before, but the Xfinity hotspot works better.
Interesting.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, that
So
is
I got rid
definitely.
of my Wi-Fi. Yeah, I got rid of my Wi-Fi, and it was like the top of the top Wi-Fi that I could buy in my building,
Yeah,
in my apartment building. And I was like, yeah, no freaking way. I can just get it for free.
yeah.
So what do I do with my day to day? I don't know. I'm really not sure. I somehow everything takes me so long because I'm not watching TV, and I'm like just into drinking my tea or like doing my work that I work over 8 hours a day at home. How does that happen? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I really don't.
One thing
It's wild.
so I mean it's funny because a lot of like the complaints that I see from people that are like just now working from home are things that like me as a freelancer have to like had to deal with like initially. It's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I can't go to my office because my office is at my house unless I want to pay money for another office. And then I have to pay money
Mm.
and then I have to drive there. And so,
Right.
learning things like, oh, before you start work, maybe you should take a shower and actually try to get ready before you sit down
Mhm.
on the couch. Or if you wanna work, make sure you don't work in your bedroom because you want to make sure that you don't cross between like that work line and that personal line because
Yeah.
then it throws you off. It's it's like funny to like
You
see
can
all that
throw
stuff.
off your that can throw off your sleep too. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Like if you start
Uh-huh.
your bed, your brain won't shut off when it goes into that room if it thinks of that room as like kind of like an active and an energetic space as well.
Yeah.
And so like that's why when they've done like studies of like people that do work in their room or they watch TV in their room or they, do very active stuff in their room, they have a, a lower quality of sleep or they tend to have like things like insomnia
Yeah.
because that was me.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was me.
really
Yeah, when I moved up here, I was in like those like shared apartment buildings where you have your
Mhm.
own room, but like you share like the kitchen and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
I was doing
yeah.
everything out of my room, and so and I was living like right off of like Portland State, off of like Fourth Street or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I would I would pride myself on like getting my best work done between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. and then I would wake up at like 7 or 8 a.m. to go to school and get all that stuff done.
Oh,
And so I was like, man, this is what works for me. But then like once I actually got into like a one bedroom apartment and I was able to like work in the living room and then sleep in like a bedroom, that completely changed. Once I hit the bed, I'm out. Like I'm out.
yeah. No, I'm out too. That's why every day I've been, because I know myself and I've done this before. I've had to work from home before. Um, so coming into this like quarantine life, I've, really said to myself, okay, I've got to be strict. I still have to get up at the same time. I still have to get ready the same sort of way. And then this is instead of driving to my job, I'm walking into the living room
Yeah.
in this space created for myself that is my office. And when I'm in the space, this is my working space. So I've like the TV's off, sometimes the blinds are open or closed, whatever, however I feel for the day. But I sit up and I do my work, I'm not doing it in the other room and I'm not trying to cross any
Yeah.
lines. And then when it's time to be done, it's time to be done. I close the laptop and then I go into my room. I'm like, it's kind of like a fine line there because I've heard even some of my friends say like, I've messed up my sleep schedule or like, how do you guys feel motivated every day? And I'm like, I really have to get up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
we already start at 9. Our day for my job starts at 9. So I'm like, if I get up by 8 and I drink some tea, maybe I have some breakfast, then I'm ready to go and be active and talk to people by 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So to kind of wrap up, is there anything new on the horizon? I know things are constantly changing, but I know you said you're getting ready to get married. Summer is kind of like a big thing for like D.A.M events and all that. So is there any like uh, things that you're excited for outside of those two things?
Outside of those two things, I'm really excited to. I took a break from traveling, so I'm just excited to travel again. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. And after the whole wedding and everything is over and done with,
Yeah.
I would like to travel and maybe revamp social media. I told you that, so I guess you be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
If
Yes.
my social media is revamped, then I'm successful with my goals for the year. Um, yeah,
Okay, okay. Yep, and hopefully you looked at the links that I sent you because it's they're
no, I looked at them. But I was like, I have nothing right now. I have nothing so far. So I gotta get some stuff prepared to be able to utilize those things.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And so stay safe. Try to continue keeping kids out of trouble, and
Will do.
yeah. Try not to cross paths with the random Portlanders that have the bows and arrows, because there's some suspects right now.
Yeah, I'm staying inside. You stay safe as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. Have a good one.
You as well. Bye.
Again, I want to give another shout out to the Soul District Business Association and Flossom Media for helping me put this on. I'm your host, Stephen Christian. I mixed and mastered this podcast. I also did all the interviews. And if you see any of the stuff on YouTube, I put all that stuff together as well. With all the social distancing things right now, I'm producing this right out of my home studio. So if you have a chance, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Medium at PDX Black Rose, which is PDX BLACK ROSE. And if you're on Patreon, hit us up on there. We would love your support. If you don't do anything else, definitely rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. And on top of that, be sure to share this with your friends. The purpose of this podcast is to highlight the movers and shakers in Portland that are doing things in the Black community. And by supporting this podcast, you're supporting the community as a whole. So with that being said, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the flip side. The intro song is brought to you by Andy Stokes, and the outro song is brought to you by Spring Gang from Epidemic Sound.